Paul Edwards. I'm an independently published horror author, and first and foremost, a monster kid. Today I'm talking about why Frankenstein lost when he fought Dracula in 1971. In case you don't know, this is part of a running gag I've got going. My friend Jessica Lewis competed on the TV show Survivor back in 2016. As a result of that, she co-hosts a podcast now, Why Blank Lost. And each week, she and her co-hosts talk about why a particular Survivor contestant got voted out that week. Well, I thought it would be funny if I made a Why Blank Lost Monster Edition video. And, monster fans are always debating which monster would win in a fight. Why did this monster lose against that one? So I made the video and people liked it, but Jessica didn't notice it. She does watch this channel sometimes. She just didn't happen to notice that. So I made another one. And then another one. And then now I'm going to keep making Why Blank Lost Monster Edition videos until she does notice. So nobody tip her off to it. Let's just see when she notices on her own, okay? So in 1971, Dracula versus Frankenstein was made. It was slapped together out of what started as a biker horror movie. And at the last minute, relatively, they decided to put Dracula and the Frankenstein monster in it. So when Dracula fought the Frankenstein monster at the end of the film, the battle was taking place outdoors in the woods. And the Frankenstein monster got a few good blows in against Dracula. But then Dracula was smart enough to figure out one way that the Frankenstein monster could be killed. And if you're a fan of the Universal horror films, let me bring you back to the film Ghost of Frankenstein, which was the fourth in the Universal Frankenstein series. And by this time, the Frankenstein monster had been shot, burned, blown up in the watchtower, scalded in boiling sulfur, beaten. All kinds of things had happened, and the Frankenstein monster hadn't been killed by any of them. But in Ghost of Frankenstein, Dr. Frankenstein pointed out that there was one way that the monster could be permanently destroyed: dissection, taking him apart piece by piece. And in this film, Dracula versus Frankenstein, Dracula comes up with this same idea. No matter how strong the monster is, if he's in pieces, he's not going to do anything. So the Frankenstein monster is coming at Dracula, and Dracula pries off one of his arms, rips it completely out by the roots, as Inspector Crow would have said in Son of Frankenstein. And the monster starts screaming in pain. Dracula rips out another of its arms. Then the monster collapses to its knees, and Dracula goes in for the kill and rips the Frankenstein monster's head off. And in this 1972 edition of Famous Monsters of Filmland, which has a cover piece on Dracula versus Frankenstein, they give us, in all its glory, quote unquote, a picture of the victory shot where Count Dracula has the Frankenstein monster's head in his hands. Now, I'm not crazy about the fact that they published this picture when they did, because Dracula versus Frankenstein was still in the theaters when this magazine came out. And so if you were a kid looking forward to seeing who would win Dracula versus Frankenstein, and you hadn't seen the film yet, but you bought this magazine, this would give it away. This would give away to you who would win in the fight. And, I'm not crazy about the fact that they would print a spoiler like that, but they did. So the question is, why Frankenstein lost? Frankenstein lost because Dracula was smart enough to know that dissection would be the way to destroy the monster, taking him apart piece by piece. That's really why Frankenstein monster lost. It wasn't that he was weaker than Dracula. It's just that Dracula was smart enough to know the Frankenstein monster's weakness. Listen, thanks for spending some time continuing my ongoing good-natured prank against my friend Jessica. And thanks for listening to me talk about Dracula versus Frankenstein. Did you think that this was the right outcome? Should Dracula have won? Or should the Frankenstein monster have won? What if there was a rematch? Let me know what you think in the comments. You know, Dracula and Frankenstein have fought in other mediums. They fought in the Marvel comics, and the Frankenstein monster completely obliterated Dracula. But maybe I'll go through that in another video. So until then, thanks for watching. I'll see you in Mourner's Woods.